Hey guys, this is Mattjestic Gaming here. Welcome to another auto chess guide. Today we're looking at something very special. Today we're looking at a tier list that is very different to what we used to see. Currently we're going to look at tier lists by rounds. We're going to look at tier lists at round 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 20 to 21, 21 to 30, 31 plus. And on top of that, there's some things that I'm going to assume and I'm going to try to explain. There's going to be some higher level thinking or high level explanation between the comparison of the stars of the unit. For example, I want to compare the 2-star unit with a 1-star unit. I want to compare a 3-star unit with a 2-star unit, and I'll go through that with you guys as well. So not only are we looking at a tier list by rounds that separate the games into the early game, the mid game, the mid to early to late game, and the late game. We're also going to be looking at units on particularly of the star level. So let's get started. Right now we're looking at a tier list that's for round 1 to 10. What does this mean? This means for round 1 to 10, usually we're going to be looking at early game units and what units are going to give us value in the early game. Now there's two assumptions in this tier list. One is that half and most of our 3 stars are not going, most of our 3 cost are going to be 1 stars, and all of our 4 cost units are going to be 1 stars. What do I mean by that? I mean my Terrorblade is likely going to be 1 star, my Razor is likely going to be a 1 star, and my Lycan is likely going to be a 1 star, while my Templar Assassin, Doom, and Lone Druid over here are definitely going to be 1 star. And the second assumption is all of my 1 star and all of my 2-star units, all of my 1 cost and all of my 2 cost units are most likely going to be 2-star, because we probably won't use them unless they're 2-star, even from round 1 to 10. This is because, as you have seen my other guides, we really should prioritize on finding 2-star units. But to find 2-star units, it's not easy to find a 2-star 3 cost unit. It's almost impossible to find a 2-star 4 cost unit from round 1 to 10. So let's get started. In the early rounds, Anti-Mage Bounty Hunter is still very much relevant. If you can find a 2-star Beastmaster, 2-star Queen, 2-star Timber, it's almost like you already won the early game. And you can start saving or you can start planning into your winning streak. Now after that, a 2-star Clock, 2-star CK, or 2-star Juggernaut can also carry pretty greatly from round 1 to 10. So those 1 cost and those 2 cost units are the valuable units I will keep as my pairs in the early game. Now to highlight this, I tend to keep more pairs than try to save up for the extra 1 gold or 2 gold, because I feel it's so important that we keep more pairs to open ourselves to more 2 stars. Now, some of the 3-star units are here for some reasons. Terrorblade, if given a few items, can work wonders even 1 star in the early rounds. While the Lycan, if he summons his wolves, can be really great in terms of tankiness and damage, even on 1 star. Razor is a particular unit because Razor synergizes with elements. Now I've had a lot of people talk to me about elements. They're great, and Razor with a tiny or even Razor with a Morphling can bring a lot to the table in the early game, even 1-star Razor, because it is an elemental activator. You can say tiny with Morphling is as well, but it just doesn't feel like the right level of Razorness. And also, Razor is core to a lot of the mage builds, a lot of AoE builds. So even at 1-star, I value Razor pretty highly. Now going to the second list, or second level, we look at Templar Assassin, Doom, Lone Druid, Conquer, and Necro. Those are some of the 4 cost units I felt if we find them in an early game, we can consider buying them, mostly because of the Lone Druid and the Conquer. The Templar and the Necro are optional, keep that in mind, because if you don't run a particular lineup, they can just help you transition, because a single 4 cost is better than a single 1 cost or 2 cost or 3 cost at 1-star. Now over here, we have the Shadowfang. We're not prioritizing on Shadowfang because so many people are going to try to steal Shadowfang. And Red Nana is not that impactful. A 2-star starter is okay. Well, Mini Abaddon, 1 star doesn't do that much for me. I'm putting the Druids here in between A and B simply because they can excel with a lot if you get the 2 star really early. But at the same time, if sometimes it's just sitting on your table and you're not finding the right Druids and you just be like 1 of each, and they're really awkward because they're really weak as a 1 star. They are okay as a 2 star only for those rounds, simply because they're pretty much a 1.5 star. So they're kind of in between things. Disruptor won't be that helpful here because in the early game, if you top shot the Disruptor, unless you have the other Ox, Disruptor doesn't bring that much to the table. Because Disruptor actually, it's like a big battery charger. He's gonna cast, and if he casts too early, he charges up the enemy because he only does 200 damage. And that's perfect for the enemy to get mana to cast their spells off. So he's in an awkward position in the early game. Now, as you can see, the units over here, there might be some questions, but this is what I pick. I won't be likely to picking those unless I'm running a Troll build. I won't be likely to pick a Viper or Puck unless I'm running a Dragon build. I might pick a Dragon, then I need a Puck and Viper. So those 3 are the awkward 3. But if you find them early, if you find them before round 15, they can do magic, even with 1 star. But because they're so situational, I don't think they're versatile enough. Dusa is awkward at level 1 because she doesn't have enough health, doesn't have enough damage to get her spells off, very item dependent. And over here, my little 4 units, I think they really probably need a buff. I haven't included any legendaries because we can't have legendaries in round 1 to 10. Now, I have briefly explained some of the units from 1 to 10. The plan of comparing stars doesn't really start here because simply from round 1 to 10, you just want pairs, you just want 2 stars, and you just want to keep some of those fair units. But keep in mind, Lone Druid and Conquer sometimes are my must keep. Queen of Pain is actually my default to Shadowfiend now because she casts instantly while Shadowfiend takes time. Shadowfiend have a long CD while she has a short CD. The burst damage, she's a bit low compared to Shadowfiend, but she's so versatile. She's so great in my offensive lineup where I have my units in the middle and she's standing right behind so she doesn't jump forward. She can nuke down the front line within 10 seconds. 2 cast, 12 seconds, everything disappears. So that's a highlight for me. And of course, you know, Bounty Hunter, Anti-Mage. I'm sure everyone has seen from round 1 to 10 how strong those are. Okay, let's go to the second table. We look at the table, the rounds from 11 to 20. This is the round when people start to save, when people break the losing streak, when people try to get a winning streak, when we differentiate the top guys and with the bottom guys. Not saying the bottom guys are not playing properly, they can be playing an open fall, they can be playing a losing streak, but this is when we see the HP difference. But why is that? Let's have a look. I feel from round 11 to 20, this is the assumption. The 1 cost, 2 cost, 3 cost units are all 2 stars minimum. I won't accept any of those units up here that's not a 4 cost unit being a 1 star. They're all 2 stars in my opinion. So for example, 2 star Beastmaster, 2 stars Terrorblade, 2 star Queen of Pain, 2 star Timber, 2 star Lycan. Only the Lone Druid and Conquer can be a 1 star. Similarly, only 4 cost units are 1 star here. Everything else is 2 star. I'm not considering the fact of a 3 star because if you do get a 3 star, unless it's, you probably won't get Alchemist. Unless it's those that can be A, everything else is definitely S rated for me if it's a 3 star. Because yeah, 3 star Lina is nice, but I don't know how much you can. So everything else, maybe just Tinker and those few will be here, but everything else that is 3 star will still go up here. So I'm not counting the 3 stars because that's not generic for us. So what we're looking at right now is 2 star Beastmaster, 2 star Terrorblade. A few highlight over here is the Terrorblade. If you do get a 2 star Terrorblade between round 11 to 20, you'll actually see how magic happens. He transforms, he gets almost full health, and he starts killing things with 2 or 3 hits. And with any item, you just start to really enjoy this unit. And let's highlight this Razor. Not only does Razor continue to activate elemental buff, but you don't really need elemental buff. If you do stack AoEs like Queen of Pain, Timber, and Razor, you quickly find that your enemies are actually dying quicker, and they're actually getting cleaved or they're getting wiped very quickly. So they tend to be the powerhouse when they get to 2 star. And Razor is very good well-rounder. Solid HP, okay armor 5, really low CD, great damage. The highlight again is Long Drill and Conquer. Long Drill and Conquer, I felt the Conquer Bolt and the Long Drill Bear could do magic. Unlike Long Drill that has 0 armor, Conquer has 10 armor. So Conquer is already great by himself with 1000 HP, 1000 plus HP. 950 was it? No, I need to check on that. Conquer has great HP and 10 armor, while Long Drill has 0 armor. So Long Drill is up here because he's so easy to be combined into 2-star. Some people even find him as a 2-star around those rounds. And he activates all the other druids. So that's why he's up there. So this is like my value table, what I default to go during those rounds. Now, a Templar and Doom are situational. Doom is great even at level 1. He does 1200 damage with level 1 Doom. It is pure damage and it takes 20 seconds for the enemy to take it off. It's great because it dooms for so long. It's not that good because the damage ticks in quite slowly. Necro is pretty situational, but I feel that Necro can run with a mage lineup even just for the intermediate exchange because you don't have a great mage. Necro can heal and damage. While Juggernaut, Anti-Mage, Shadowfiend being 2-stars are pretty good, but they do have a few downsides because Anti-Mage is falling off, while Shadowfiend is great, but he requires a particular positioning. Assassins can take him out, a random Viper Strike with a Dragon can take him out, and any AoE that scripts Shadowfiend, he dies. Downside is his health pool, so I gave him all my Vitality Stones and things that increase health. Windrunner Disruptor, kinda awkward because Windrunner's 2-star is excellent, while Disruptor is usually 1-star. He's still in this awkward position, he's charging up for the enemy, but he's going up the tier for me because I'm preparing him for the next few rounds. He's gonna be one of the star of the tier list as we go to the next few tier list. And simply because Disruptor, after the nerf, he reduced his damage at level 2 Disruptor from 600 to 450, Disruptor is still very crucial for us. There isn't that much to be explained over here simply because during round 11 to 20, what I do really focus, I think you guys can tell, is AoE damage. I want AoE damage and more AoE damage so I can clean sweep the enemy. So usually my fights are pretty one-sided when I'm on the upper end, and usually my fights are close enough when I'm on the losing end, so I actually kill most of my enemies and save most of my health. What does this do is, when I'm winning, I can have a winning streak. When I'm losing, I don't lose as hard, so I can have a losing streak while I maintain a bit of my health. Unlike those single target units, the AoE units tend to kill most of the squishier ones. So that's why I value some of my AoE units on top. Another highlight is Dusa. Dusa is in an awkward situation, is that if you buy her from round 11 to 20, if you're not a hunter, she's not going to be on the table because she doesn't bring that much to the table. Her ultimate doesn't do damage, and that's the problem. And if she doesn't do damage, and she takes so long for her mana to charge up as 1-star, she's very awkward, so she's here at the moment. Okay, let's have a look at the next tier list. This tier list is very interesting. This tier list from round 21 to 30. We can have a look at a quick comparison. You can go back the video and have a look what has changed and what has stayed. Notice how Shadowfiend actually went up, while the Queen of Pain and the Beast Archer actually went down. So does the Terrorblade and Lycan. This is because during those rounds, people are really pushing it. During those rounds, there's a big difference between the HP pool and between the savings of the 8 or 7 players that's left. The players down here, the bottom 4, are gonna feel desperate. They're gonna spend all their savings, all their rolls, trying to get 2-stars, or trying to get the 6 elves, trying to get the goblin techies. They're gonna get a lot of those things. And the players down here, over here in the middle range, are trying to not lose too much while maintaining the economy, while getting the units they wanted. So the players in the middle are the greedy ones. The players up here are trying to maintain the winnings or spend the gold wisely. This is when some of those units come so handy. One thing I want to touch on before I start the tier list is how people tend to position between round 10 and 1 to 10, 10 to 20. People, so this is the box. In this box of map, people tend to come to this corner, and when people come to the corners, it's great before round 21. But the moment you get to round 21 and onwards, what's going to happen is those AoE units are really going to punish those that go into the corner. And if you don't remember to swap your units out of the corner and spread them out, what's going to happen is you're going to see one bolt comes in and all your units that's banked in the corner, all your hunters, all your mages are going to get hit and get stunned or get stormed. Or maybe the disruptor scraps them and half of them goes to half HP. So that's why I value those units, because they punish those that stay in the corner and deal great amount of AoE damage. The assumption here is only a few of the 4 cost units are not 2-star. So Lone Druid should be 2-star to be here. Conquer should be 2-star. He can be accepted for 1-star if he's under a warrior lineup. That's the only way I can accept him over here. A lot of the units have fallen down, but they're still relevant because they still do some of the things they do. Terrorblade still does okay damage. Liking a 2-star runs with Beast, he's still okay. Beastmaster and Queen still brings a little damage to the table. While the Templar and the Doom is going to stay here because of their versatility. One highlights the higher value unit, while the other is going to be your tank assassin with evasion or even with items. The Druids are staying where they are because this is when they become 3-star units. So notice how the 3-star Druids are on par with the 2-star of other units, and they're still not up there simply because this is the time that if you don't get those Druids to 3-star, you don't want to use them. That's the advice over here, because this from round 21 onwards, those Druids have 2-star really falls off. Enchantress actually falls off after round 15. Some of those units here have the same logic from round 11 to round 20, simply because those units are still in the process of getting to 2-star. If they do become 2-star, what happens is the Deucer will move up, a DK will move up for a dragon, up to here or even up to here, while the Keeper of the Light will move up over here. So because the difficulty of getting 2-star, they're staying where they are. A lot of the units are going to go down, as you can see in comparison, because they're no longer relevant. Keep in mind, if you get those units to 3-star, they will at least go to A or they will go to S. So they're still very relevant if you're lucky enough to get them to 3-star. But for the sake of being generic, we're going to keep them as 2-star. That's why they are down here. And the poor Alchemist, I put him up because I'm a Goblin fan, and this is when Goblins actually want to see Alchemist. That's why he's up here but not down there. Okay. Now, one thing to highlight again for round 21 to 30 is that we are still stacking AoEs, but we're on the transition to go to control and to go to initiate. What do I mean by that? Disruptor and Conquer is going to the top of the list, not only because Disruptor is an Orc, but Disruptor has instant cast. While Conquer here is going up because his stun is still very relevant. He's also a human. Keep in mind, with only 2 humans, they can do magic. When they just hit the enemy once, they get silenced for 4 seconds. It's just incredible when my tide gets silenced for like 8 seconds when they only have like 20% with 2 humans. I am not keeping the legendaries in. Yes, you'll be getting legendaries from round 21 to 30. Even at level 8 we can get legendaries, but I'm not putting them in because it's going to be the same reasoning for the next tier list, which we're going to go to now. Which we're going to go to it now. Okay, this is the last tier list, and after this tier list I'm going to do some summary and comparison. In this tier list, we're going to look at round 31 plus. And what happens in this tier list, something strange happens. Well, not that strange, but rather the preference of units changes because now there's only 2 focus. There's the unit composition, there's what sort of initiators or controllers you have, and last thing is how are you positioning them. So those 3 things come hand in hand. If you just have a random disruptor by himself without any orcs or without any mages, his relevance is still great but not going to be that high in potential. Similarly with Conquer, if he's teamed up with 3 warriors at least, he can cast almost 2 bolts off. I'll touch on the legendaries last. A Doom at level 2, here we're going to assume all the purple units are level 2 now. Doom at level 2, Deucer at level 2 can do magic. Doom in the front line, great HP, quick mana gain, almost dooms all my techies, all my Tide, all my Deucer. Such a good AI design. Deucer with items, with a mage buff, with the mana, she can cast and annihilate the entire team while everything's stormed. She's not killing them though, but everything else is killing them. Templar is still our tank assassin, and you know, Necro and Enigma. Oh, I won't touch on the legendaries actually. Necro is still great for level 2. Long Druid is still relevant for being a level 2, but usually people have him to level 3. That's why he's here. And the only thing that stayed as 3 stars are the Shadowfiend and Razor, because they're the greatest AoE dealers and they fit in most lineups. Shadowfiend fits in almost every lineup. Shadowfiend is a Warlock that can give lifesteal if you have enough Warlocks, or Razor can fit in almost any mage lineup. Notice how most of the other units have fallen down simply because they lack of ability to do AoE damage, lack of ability to control, or the lack of ability to gain mana fast enough or to be relevant. Because if you have those other units, they tend to be the one that's chance down, chance storm, that just sometimes makes us facepalm. Be like, oh my god, please, like, stop hexing my troll warlord, or stop silencing my Lycan. And when the Lycan summon his warps, he's no longer that relevant. So I'm going to touch on the legendaries now, and after the legendaries I'll focus on a few particular units for the late game, and we discuss the positioning as well. Over here we have Gyro. Why is Gyro, Lich and Tide on the top of my list, and why is Nigma and Techies over here? Simply because my preference for their ability to cast their spells. Gyro, if you guys didn't know, has the best attack speed, highest armor, and highest range out of all the units in the game. Because being a dwarf, Gyro hits pretty far, and Gyro has 15 armor, has 0.9 attack speed. So any item goes on the Gyro goes a long way because he's already so great. Gyro's cooldown is only 10 seconds, 400 damage at level 1. Although there's a delay, it's massive radius. So it's instant cast, there's a little delay, but massive radius, massive damage, and low CD. While Lich, on the other hand, is almost instant cast. Just need for the Lich eye to be a little better sometimes, tend to hit the unit instead of casting. Lich is instant cast, once it's casted you can look away, and the champ bounce will usually do this magic. Great damage, and it slows attack speed. So Lich really counters some lineups as well. I'm going to speak about the lineups they counter as well. Tide is just a great all-rounder. After the Naga buff, you have a Dusa, have a Tide, have a Slaughter. All of a sudden mages are not doing that much damage. And again, Tide is instant cast. This is what I'm prioritizing up. So the top units, other than Conquer and the Dusa, everything is instant cast. Because in the late game, you want things to happen instantly. You don't want them to wait, because if you wait, you have a storm, you have a stun coming, and all of a sudden you are on the receiving end. Why is Enigma here? Enigma is great. Great for PvE, great to do pure damage. The problem is, unless you get a 2-star Enigma, it's not going to gain mana as fast, unless you give it items, or unless you risk it by putting it at the front. But the problem is, half the time Enigma don't gain mana. Another half the time your team is all dead when Enigma casts his spells. And the last bit of the time Enigma dies before Enigma does anything. Because being level 1, Enigma is instant cast, but its reward is not instant. It takes 10 seconds for everything to kick in. Techies, on the other hand, is going up because of the Goblin buff. He's staying here simply because at level 1 again, Techie doesn't get mana fast. And if Techie doesn't have Nano buff, you put him in the front, he usually dies before he casts anything. And there's a little delay for him to cast, and his bomb is a little delayed. So compared to the instant cast guys, he's a little delayed. And Techie is by no means. Techie is like 1/4 of what Gyro can do in terms of gaining mana, even with items. We're going to look at a particular legendary over here, Death Prophet. I put Death Prophet here in order to highlight the advantage and disadvantage of a Death Prophet. The disadvantage is pretty great simply because Death Prophet have no armor. Death Prophet have not very high health pool at around 900, and Death Prophet have some of the lowest attack and lowest attack speed of the legendaries. That's compared to Gyro. And similar to Techie though, Death Prophet is over there. Now the problem with Death Prophet is, unlike other legendaries that cast and get the job done, just you can look away. This one, after she casts, that's when the tension arises. I've seen so many Death Prophet getting focused on, and she casts, and then she disappears. So that the entire value of a high-end Death Prophet just became the lifesteal for the Warlock or the minus armor, but it's not that relevant in late game. What's relevant is the casting and the damage and initiate. If Death Prophet can't get her spells off fast enough, if she doesn't have items, then she's in an awkward position. She's wasting your precious unit slot. I prefer a 1-star Conquer Death Prophet when the Conquer casts 1 bolt on the right target, because the Death Prophet needs 10 seconds to get her full spells off. You need 5 seconds of her being alive while the spell is going to make a good value out of her. Of course, at 2-star Death Prophet, you can put her in the front, but she still faces the problem of being killed. And similarly, if the enemy has a Doom usually dooms the Death Prophet before she casts. If she's at 1-star, she's just very awkward for me. I feel like if I had a 2-star Laundred or 2-star Shadow thing, it's better than a Death Prophet, and that's why she's over here but not up there. A lot of those units over here are fallen off because their ability to gain mana, ability to target multiple targets, or ability to control the enemy. Alchemist is pretty special over here. Unless he's a 3-star godlike Alchemist, he's still in the awkward position. He needs a Goblin buff and it's not enough, so he definitely needs a buff by the developers. So, what I want to touch on is, what do those legendaries counter? Tide is a good all-rounder. I recommend any build to try a Tide, and if your Tide is losing or not casting fast enough, try him on the corner and give him a Blink Dagger. Try him in the backline, try him around. And sometimes we don't have HP to try and know that, so you probably should try before you try the final, like trying the serious game, so you're already ready. Lich and Gyro. Lich counters Knight builds. Lich counters builds that need to attack, simply because Lich slows attack. Lich counters PvE monsters when they're having more of them. Lich is great for the trolls, great for the lizards, not so great for the dragons, but it's okay. It slows its attack, although just for like 1.5 seconds. Gyro, on the other hand, is actually a magic carry. Gyro counters goblins, Gyro counters elves, and Gyro counters warriors. So does Lich, of course, and so does Tide. Enigma is the highlight because Enigma counters goblins, warriors, elves, even mages. Surprisingly enough, mage stack in a ball in the corner, and Enigma comes in, Enigma says, "Hey guys," and 5-10 seconds later, all the mage dies. So Enigma is great. Techies counters mages, elves, and Techie doesn't counter knights, by the way. Enigma really counters knights. That's one of the biggest counter for knights. If I'm playing knights, I say Enigma, I just be like, oh my god, please guys, don't stand in the darkness. Techies needs something that minus armor, or Techies needs to be tanky. If this undead in the lineup, Techie really excels. You'd be surprised by the amount of damage 1-star Techie does, and 2-star Techie can kill almost the entire team if he's got only 2 undead. Because most of the entire team of the enemy is about 1000 to 1500 HP, because most of them are 2 stars, and the Techie bomb would do almost 1500 damage after the armor deduction. Death Prophet. What does Death Prophet counter? Death Prophet excels to encounter things that you can't hit properly, which is not warriors but elves. Death Prophet also excels in countering mages if you can get her to cast and have her live long enough. So Death Prophet is still pretty awkward for me. I have tried Death Prophet pretty successfully with Knights because they're tanky for her, with Hunters because they reduce armor, and with Mages because she can get her cast fast enough to get a little variety for the mages. So, to make a conclusion for this particular tier list, yes, today we're trying a new tier list where we explain things by rounds, by the early game, mid game, mid to late game, and the late game. And the highlights for each tier list are following. Here you want as many 2 stars as you can. You might want to keep some of the value 4 stars for a particular reason, but the idea again here is to focus on 2 stars for the round 1 to 10. Over here, the idea is to slowly transition into AoEs, because that's what's going to help you from round 11 to round 30, up to 26 at least. Slowly transition into enough AoEs while keeping some of those valuable units. And some of the units that raise up the list are worth it, although you just waste, say, 1 savings because you broke your 10th multiple, because you went from 40 gold to 36 gold. It's still worth it to keep the Disruptor. Not only the fact you're keeping him for use, you're also denying the chance of the enemy grabbing the Disruptor, grabbing the Disruptor to 2-star, and annihilating your team with a troll, like with an Orc combo. Because things work both ways. If you're buying it, you're not only protecting yourself and giving yourself potential, you're also denying other players. Over here, things quickly shifted into the initiators, all the big magic dealers, all the versatility units. And the highlight again here is we have to keep in mind the single target dealers, or the 2-star cost 2 stars are falling off. They're falling off very quickly. And lastly, we want to tailor make our team. We want to tailor make our lineup for that particular player that's left in the game. Sometimes you know who's threatening, who's not threatening. You really want to tailor make this one. For this particular one, I want to highlight Anti-Mage. He can go up here if he's 3 star, or even up here, simply because Anti-Mage allows you to deny any of those units by looking at the map. If you have trouble looking at the map, make sure you check my guides on how to do a mirror counter with Anti-Mage or with other units. As for the late game positioning, what you want to do is, I'll put him back, unless he's 3 star, that is. So what you want to do with the positioning as a bonus is that when Tide is 1 star, you want things to be next to him so he doesn't get nuked down before he casts. When those units are 2 star, you actually want, when I say those units, I mean the S tier units, by the way. When those units are 2 star, you actually want them on the front position where they're actually not surrounded by units. You just want them by themselves, except Gyro. So usually you want Disruptor to receive enough damage and Disruptor can cast fast enough. You want them to be in the front, except sometimes maybe Deucer, because Deucer is the squishiest out of them. I tend to put Deucer on the 2nd row or on the 3rd row, depending on how many items he's got. If he's got many items, 2nd row. If he doesn't have much items, 3rd row. Never on the last row, never on the 1st row. That's for my preference. Because on the 1st row she dies. On the last row she doesn't receive enough damage and she gets killed by assassins. So because of that, I think 2nd and 3rd is pretty good for Deucer. And I think this should sum up pretty nicely. This is my first attempt of an alternative to the tier list. We'll be having different form of tier list very soon. And what I'll be touching on is a tier list of class, a tier list of race, where we look at the tier list of class and race for the for the early game, mid game, and the mid to late game and late game. What are the good class? If hunters really excels here, if mage excels here, if elves excel here, if goblins excels here. That's a bit of the teaser. And please leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you guys want to see, what kind of tier list we want to see. I definitely want to give you guys more information instead of just those are good, but when are they good? Why are they good? And how can we make them work for us? So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, saying hi on Twitch, supporting me. I really appreciate it. And have a nice day, guys. I'll see you guys.